Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
It is All Hallows, Samhain, Samhain, Devil's Night, and it is certainly Devil's Night in different parts of the United States last night and tonight here on Halloween. Here is the story breaking first at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. All over Twitter, Facebook, and other systems, looters are organizing East Coast raids and robberies of banks, shops, stores, people's homes, and bragging about it and showing the loot and saying tonight they want to go out and start shooting people. We had, I barely even covered it yesterday because we kind of ignore the dinosaur media, but the New Atlantic and some of the other establishment liberal sites like the Daily Beast, they came out and said that Matt Drudge of DrudgeReport.com, Infowars.com, in our article was basically evil, pointing out that there were people saying that they would loot and said those were jokes. Really, people said they would loot in the very towns and cities like Coney Island that's now been looted up one side and down the other. In fact, I sent you guys a newscast out of New York that we're going to be playing some clips of. We do have that, where it just shows banks robbed, houses, homes, TV shops. I mean, just massive looting. People ripping open storefronts, ripping open the burglar bars. But it doesn't exist because the mainstream media said so. I mean, actually, it is in hundreds of newspapers that 5 states have looting up and down them. Rhode Island has it, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania. The list goes on and on. And the looting is to now intensify. And shameless looters display stolen goods on Twitter. Sandy Loot Crew plans more heist and violence tonight. Now, we are going to also get into the latest on the entire scandal with the White House caught lying when they said that they didn't deny aid to the ambassador. I am still not exactly sure what happened in Benghazi. I know it's become a political football, but I do know anything about al-Qaeda, anything about bin Laden, period, is being deleted off Facebook, and they've told us they'll shut down one of our big Facebooks. We wrote about that yesterday and showed you their notice. Now the big Navy SEAL group that's running mild TV ads about Obama shouldn't politicize the Navy SEALs, they are now having their posts deleted. Here's one of them from Breitbart. It's up at Infowars.com as well, not just Breitbart.com. Obama called the SEALs and they got bin Laden. When the SEALs called Obama, they got denied. That meme image, you know, you put out images, you put out cartoons, things like that's what we do on Facebook. And our bin Laden saying al-Qaeda, it was shared over 100,000 times. And they deleted that. And the Navy SEALs put this up with bin Laden. And so you can clearly see that they've got an AI software doing this or ham-fisted moderators that they see anything about Benghazi, anything about bin Laden, it is deleted. And the SEALs got the same note and were told that they would be deleted. They would lose their account if they dare engage in political activity. Last year, Darren McBreen, we did an article on this. His little Facebook page with political stuff had mild things criticizing the government. And they said, look, that's not allowed. You will be deleted if you do that. So let's just get it straight. When you criticize China and places for censorship or Russia, it's almost worse here. I mean, what's next? Being sent to a re-education camp? Well, they actually have that in the new Army manuals. Also, the mainstream media is trying to blame me for a guy with explosives. That's in the San Jose Mercury News. It's incredible. Romney is pulling ahead of Obama in key swing states. It's all coming up straight ahead. Are live, ladies and gentlemen, transmitting worldwide, blasting out on the AM and FM dial, global shortwave, XM satellite 166, and streaming audio and video at prisonplanet.tv, Infowars.com, and prisonplanet.com. Okay, coming up for about 30 minutes in studio in the third hour, we've got Wade Hicks, the defense contractor with a high-level security clearance, no criminal record, who is not allowed to fly because he's a prepper. They saw on his website. They saw him online. They said, you're not allowed to be a prepper. That means you're a terrorist, basically. And they stranded him for 6 days in Hawaii. We broke that news via the Northeast Intelligence Network, and then it hit the Associated Press and things. He's going to be here in Austin today, so he's scheduled in studio. Now, that aside, obviously, we've got the incredible aftermath of the storm. It was somewhat hyped, but still pretty darn devastating in many areas. So, not the mega hype we were hoping for, because I would rather it be hype than really be as devastating as they were talking about. Al Gore says, don't worry. If you just pay him and Obama and the Rothschilds and Rockefellers to their private carbon exchange, like they're now doing in England. They're now charging people more for their power and giving it to private banks as an indulgence, as a way to get you out of environmental purgatory back into Valhalla. And so they are now saying that if you pay Al Gore money, he will wave a magic wand and no more bad storms will ever hit us, because any type of weather. It's climate change now. The seasons are abnormal. And all the polar bears are dying, even though their numbers are up fivefold since the 1950s. You can look that up for yourself. They just tell kids they can't swim, even though they're the best land animal when it comes to swimming. But that's a side issue. And we have other articles like this. U.S. Supreme Court to argue use of canine search outside your home. This is Donna Anderson, breaking at Infowars.com. They're already allowed to search your car, your crotch, and your luggage without a warrant. Now man's best friend is about to be allowed to sniff around outside your home, too. I've actually been walking around in New York and had cops come over with a German Shepherd and run it up between my legs. That's the freedom of America, to stop the drugs the government ships in. And if they smell something they don't like, you're going to jail. The constitutional right to be secure in your home, papers, person, and effects, it's over. Against unreasonable search and seizure is about to be erased at your house as well. Gregory Guerrer, an attorney representing the state of Florida, argues that it's perfectly legal to use drug detection dogs to sniff around your outside house if the dog alerts that they can use that to justify entering your home to conduct a search. No warrant needed. Of course, many of these dogs have been trained to alert on anything, so they get a biscuit. He compares it to trick-or-treaters on Halloween night. So, I mean, you've seen in Boston and New York the knock and talk, where they come and knock and say, we're going to come in and look for guns. No judge, no jury, no probable cause. We just want to see your guns. Dallas is now doing it, of all places. Look it up. And it's just pure intimidation. They're erasing the Fourth Amendment. They're erasing everything. That's what the TSA is about, is breaking your will. Hey, we grabbed your genitals already. We take you to private rooms and rip your colostomy bags off and strip old ladies. Sit down and shut up. The police did the same thing that millions of Americans will do. This is what he argues in court on Halloween night, which is walk up to the front steps, knock on the door, and while they're there, they took in the air, and the dog alerted to the smell of illegal narcotics. So we're just going to randomly come up, no judge, no jury, no probable cause, not even a fake informant, and we're just going to come, and then if we smell something, we're coming in. TSA's got to search your bags. They got to search your pants. Why not have the police just search your house? The difference is Americans don't have to open their door to trick-or-treaters if they don't want to, but we all know what happens if you deny entry to a cop. Here comes the SWAT team. At issue is the 2006 case involving, and it goes over the whole deal. I'm going to cover that more later. Now, again, that's not really our top news here. Neither is this. I'm going to get into our top news in a minute, but this is pretty darn important. The National Institutes of Health just last Friday published a big university study, hundreds of pages long, going over what's been backed up by other studies, that aspartame actually makes rats being fed the same other diet, but being fed sugar in the diet, makes them fatter and shuts off their pancreas. Well, what do we have here? By naturalnews.com, up at Infowars.com, with big links to the new study. I'll get into the study and give you all the details later. I forget the top news. You can go read it for yourself, though, in full detail at Infowars.com. Linking through to the NCBI, and that's the National Institute of Health as well. That aspartame is linked to leukemia and lymphoma in new landmark study on humans. Wow, we're getting these every few days now. National Institutes of Health. In the 70s, they tried to get it approved 3 times and couldn't. Searle did. But when they got bought by Monsanto, they had the muscle in government to get it approved. Who was the head of Monsanto at the time? You guessed it, Mr. WMD in Iraq himself, Mr. Give Nuclear Reactors in North Korea. I mean, he's almost like the devil, like a poof of black smoke appears when something evil's going on, and it's Donald Rumsfeld. Just amazing. They finally got it approved in 1981. Folks, in all the rhesus monkey studies, you guessed it, massive tumors. If they gave it to babies in mother's milk, it killed them, baby monkeys. But still got it approved, and there that is. Thought you might want to, know that when you go to the grocery store, to the candy aisle, every sugared candy gum, every one of them has it, unless you order online Beeman's or something. You know, Chuck Yeager's favorite brand of gum and mine, too. The point is, you can order non-aspartame gum online. You can find it in specialty shops or at places like Whole Foods, even though they're bringing in aspartame gum now, but you cannot find it at major stores. And if you ask for it, they laugh at you. Of course, voting with your dollars, you should demand they bring in gum that doesn't have it. How about old-fashioned sugar? You know, people have been voting with their dollars in the last decade or so. Well, the Mexicans here in Texas would not drink the horrible-tasting garbage corn syrup. They wanted good old-fashioned stuff like they could get in Mexico, like we used to get until 25 years ago, cane sugar. Isn't really good for you, but it isn't, a chemical weapon. And now it's just displaced the regular Coke. Everywhere you go, you hardly even find, at least where I live in Texas, the horrible high-fructose corn syrup that causes obesity and pancreatic cancer and so many other things in big studies, and also has heavy metals in it for whatever reason because of the extraction process. Look it up yourself. Because people voted with their dollars, you can buy real sugar Coke. Can't buy real sugar Pepsi, but you can get Pepsi products with fetal. It's called throwback Coke. See, we need everything to get thrown back. We're on so they have throwback Pepsi? Does it have the throwback fetal tissue in it? Oh, it does? Okay, well, it's not really a throwback then. Yeah, I heard that 2 years ago that it had fetal tissue in it and the flavor enhancer. I didn't believe it. They had federal court cases where the stockholders tried to stop it. They had lawsuits and couldn't stop it being added. Yes, you are not in Kansas anymore. Side issue. Let me now give you the top stories up at prisonplanet.com and Infowars.com. We're going to get into the aftermath of Hurricane Sandy and, the ongoing rain from it. We can put up on screen for prisonplanet.tv viewers a satellite and also Doppler feed of what's going on there. And we have links to all of that at Infowars.com, or you can also find it by going to drudgereport.com. He has all the links right there. So we are going to be going over that and fires raging in New Jersey. Shore town hit hard by Sandy. 14 homes already destroyed. More fires, of course, in New York. Hurricane Sandy cost may hit $50 billion. New York Daily News is reporting. Daily Mail also has the same headline, $50 billion superstorm. Full picture of the devastation wreaked by Sandy revealed in heartbreaking shots of East Coast homes. And there are just homes devastated, whole neighborhoods devastated, whole neighborhoods that are underwater. It is just amazing what has happened. Shots of entire towns underwater, homes that have been tumped over, apartment blocks that have been tumped over. Yeah, $50 billion is what they are estimating right now. But don't worry, FEMA says send storm victims to the internet. And the White House says send them to the internet, even though they don't have internet and power in many of those areas. Also, Atlantic City mayor on Governor Christie's rebuke, misinformed and ill-advised. We'll get into some of that. Fallen tree on New Haven Green unearths human skeleton. Al Gore blames Hurricane Sandy on global warming. We've got that report out of the Washington Times as well. Individual preparedness, not big government management, would have helped most. Yeah, that counters the New York Times saying a big storm requires a big government. What, to let the looters loot? We're getting to that in a moment. So that is just some of the hurricane news that we are going to be going over today. But when we come back from break, we're going to get into our top story today that is breaking at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Looters plague hurricane victims post-Sandy. Thieves pose as utility workers and con residents. There are looting in 5 states, New Jersey, New York, mass looting in areas of New York, just whole districts looted, stolen, big screen TVs, just everything. And then here is the breaking news when we come back. Here is the breaking news that we are going to be going over. Shameless looters display stolen goods on Twitter. Sandy loot crews plan more heist and violence tonight. And all the photos, the tweets, the links to it, and the police standing down, probably joining in New York like they are in Louisiana, there in New Orleans. Just 2 really corrupt police departments in New Orleans. New York's worse, though, I've got to say. I mean, who knows? I saw some of the video of cops on the news. They look like they're having a good time. We'll be right back. Stay with us. We're back live. Thank you for joining us. I'm Alex Jones, your host. Okay, I'm going to get into shameless looters display stolen goods on Twitter, organize further criminal operations in the aftermath of Sandy that's now petering out to just some rainstorms across the Northeast. A lot of devastation on the coast. The death toll is, what, up to 40-something now? They're finding more bodies. So it is a big tragedy, but I wouldn't call it the worst storm ever. I wouldn't even call Katrina that. I mean, they've had hurricanes that destroyed all of Galveston and killed tens of thousands before. So we're going to be breaking all of that down. Imagine in the old days, they wouldn't know a hurricane was coming. It would just come slam in and, you know, cover entire coastal areas. But continuing here, we're going to be getting to that in a moment. After the break, I'm going to cover this. Yesterday, Melissa Melton linked to a Washington Post article from 2009, linked to the Department of Homeland Security site. Obama ordered DHS to control hurricanes. And we link to it, weather modification, steering, and controlling of hurricanes that we know the Pentagon has been able to control since the Stanford Research Institute certified it in 1967. Well, guess what? They attacked Kurt Nimmo in USA Today, Salon, you name it, saying we basically made it up, that there's any type of weather modification. Kind of like the Atlantic Magazine and Daily Beast 2 days ago said we were insane and on Monday, and that there would be no looting. And they actually said in the Atlantic, it's a myth that there's looting after hurricanes. Really, there's looting all over the world after disasters, except, I guess, in Japan, because they're so I guess you'd call it civilized, so honorable. But the point is that wherever there's disarmed populations, wherever there's welfare classes, you're going to see this type of thing. But no. There's no looting, and of course there's been a bunch of looting now. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be covering that again coming up later in the transmission. But here is the report. We'll put it up on screen. I've got it here on my screen for PrisonPlanet.tv viewers. If you're a radio listener, go to PrisonPlanet.com or Infowars.com to read it and see the photos and everything. Shameless looters display stolen goods on Twitter. I'm sure the media will come out and say this isn't real either. And there's not fires in New Jersey close to a nuclear reactor either. Of course there is, but it doesn't matter if we cover it. It doesn't exist. Sandy Loot Crew, as they call themselves, plans more heist and violence overnight. There are groups planning more in Coney Island, in New York City proper, in Brooklyn, but also areas of Maryland, areas of New Jersey, Trenton, And it goes on, looters who are taking advantage of the devastation caused by Hurricane Sandy are posting photographs of their stolen goods on Twitter and bragging about how they plan to carry out more thefts and violence. Shocking images posted to the social network website depict individuals who appear to be working together, boasting about how they have stolen laptops, TVs, and other electronics from both stores and private homes that fell victim to the hurricane. Check out this laptop I scored. And then it goes over it. Picture of my swiping that TV. I mean, just amazing. And again, it's a gangster culture that's been sold, where they break up families, put kids in prison for no reason, and then all they know is criminality when they come out. The whole MTV culture promotes it, gangsterism. It's widespread. It's so sick. And these people feel like it's their right to do it. Sweet subwoofer in some dude's house on the second floor is mine now. Last night, even Mama got out of her house to loot me a new shirt. I mean, unbelievable. The gangs appear to be organizing their looting expeditions under the hashtag #PoundSandyLootCrew. Other Twitter users attempting to report the looters, and some of their accounts were suspended. Again, other Twitter users attempted to report the looters, and some of their accounts were suspended. I'm explaining to you again. We've seen this. If you report the looting, you are suspended because you can't admit it's happening. Secret Service has not responded now. They reported yesterday. The Weekly Standard looked into it. The Secret Service, weeks into this, will not respond to people saying they're going to kill Romney. The Twitter accounts are still up. Members of the hacking group Anonymous apparently also got embroiled in an effort to stop the looters. Well, they're the bad guys trying to stop the looters. As we first highlighted on Monday, the looting was planned on Twitter well in advance of the hurricane making landfall. News reports from numerous different areas are showing that now flooded areas are confirming that widespread looting is taking place. We'll continue when we come back. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central, 12 noon to 3 p.m. Eastern. I am Alex Jones, your host. And we are going to open the phones up coming up later in this hour into the second hour and the third hour. We have the evil, high-level security clearance, no criminal record, defense contractor who talked about prepping and things, so is on a no-fly list. And that ties into all the demonization of gun owners, conservatives, libertarians. It's really an authoritarian takeover. And, you know, they may come out and say private property's a terrorist. I mean, are we going to just roll over to this government? This government is a bunch of looting criminals, and it's a lot worse than just Barack H. Obama. When you go read the tweets we've got at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com, if you just joined us, I'm Alex Jones, your host. They are saying, you know, that they're using boats now to go around looting and robbing. And the police are just standing around while all of this goes on. And I'm noticing it's worse in New York City and places where the public is disarmed. That's where you have more of the home invasions, all of it. Because the people have been conditioned to just lay down and take it. Amazing. I wonder if we'll get apologies from the Daily Beast. I wonder if we'll get apologies from the Atlantic magazine, a New Atlantic, for saying Monday that we were making it up, that there were people saying they were going to loot. No, I don't think we should be holding our breath for that to happen. Okay, let me now shift gears. We'll get more into that subject in a moment. To Infowars.com in the news. We don't a lot of times talk about when we're in the news. We're in the news every day now, pretty much. And most of the time, it's even mainstream media following our lead and basically copying, rewriting our stories because we cover a lot of things that are pretty hot issues. That's how we get copied every day, which is fine. That's a sign of success. But these two groups of articles I've got to cover are demonization programs against us. And again, we'll get a document cam shot of this for viewers. Radio listeners can just search engine these terms. Conspiracy theorists say Obama engineered Hurricane Sandy. Now, again, what is the word conspiracy theorist? It's a pejorative. kind of like racist or crazy or whatever. You know, when you have governments that have certified they can control hurricanes, when you've got a very unusual storm hitting right before an election that if it would have been a little bit stronger, could have postponed the election. There's still some talk about that. And it acts very strange. And we have meteorologists on that say it's acting strange. And we know there's government programs to do this. We'd be crazy not to point it out. Well, they go on to attack us and say on Friday, InfoWars, neversay.com, USA Today, never give us any credit so folks can actually go read our full article in context. A story arguing that Sandy, quote, will undoubtedly produce widespread chaos and present an ideal opportunity for Obama to come off as a strong and decisive leader, which he's out there during FEMA announcements on TV making political statements. I have those articles here today. So that happened. He's grandstanding. Following the perfect storm, wrote InfoWars' Kurt Nimmo, the establishment media will naturally provide all the propaganda Obama needs to sweep the election on Tuesday, November 6th, a week after the hurricane is projected to hit. So that's the reports we've got right there. As proof, Nimmo notes harpstatus.com. So they do give a link to that and tell you the site because they want to discredit it. A site that claims to detect frequency on the ionosphere is reporting unprecedented levels of HAARP frequency. I've had the director of HAARP on admitting it can manipulate weather. I've got Daily Mail, AP, Reuters, BBC admitting these antenna arrays do manipulate jet streams. You can take one from 30,000 feet down to ground level and flood everybody out. In the 60s, they were flooding the Ho Chi Minh Trail every day with just a few dozen aircraft spraying. But they act like it doesn't exist. It's like when they have an urban warfare drill, I'll cover it, the news will say, Jones claimed there was a drill, but here was the drill, and the colonel said it wasn't a big deal. I claim there was a drill, but it existed, but I'm bad to talk about it. As proof, Nimmo points to the site, a site that claims to detect frequency on the ionosphere is reporting unprecedented levels of HAARP. It goes, the HAARP status site appears to be a site not actually associated with HAARP. Yeah, it's a group saying they track it. In a piece of nonprofit website, skeptics.com, 2010, aerospace and computer engineer David something or another explained why he believes conspiracy theorists love to blame HAARP. Let me see, I had Dr. Begich on yesterday breaking down HAARP. He lives up in Alaska. Folks, I can have Ben Livingston, the father of weather weapons on, and they just sit there and go, oh, this is an unscientific site, but our scientist says it, it doesn't really exist. So it's that appeal to authority. So let me, I'm not even going to get into what Salon's saying. I'm not even going to get into that. I'm going to show you Melissa Melton's article, Obama ordered DHS to control hurricanes. And in it, we have a link to the Washington Post in 2009, where Obama ordered DHS, and we'll show the document on screen from the Washington Post, to begin going in and testing manipulation of hurricanes in the Atlantic. Now, to DHS's credit, they said, while QAR recognizes that weather modification in general is occurring through the funding of private enterprises, NOAA does not support research that entails efforts to modify hurricanes. NOAA and its predecessor agency, they decided this in 1967, once supported and conducted research into hurricane modification through Project Storm Fury, who we have the director of, doctor, physicist, meteorologist, World War II and Vietnam and Korea vet, amazing guy. He headed up Storm Fury, 1962 to 1983. Now, show them the URL on that document. Let's back out of it. The URL on that is the Washington Post. Yesterday we had it where you could see it. But again, just punch it up on my computer over here and we can show them the URL. That's Washington Post media. Okay? Here. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and click on it so they can see up there in the URL. You guys can take control of my computer if you want to show them. The point is I want to show everybody out there watching, radio listeners can go check this, that you can go to the site and you can see, there it is, WashingtonPost.com. WashingtonPost.com. Oh, but USA Today says, we talked to a scientist that said conspiracy theorists love to believe in weather modification and HAARP, but it just doesn't exist. They blah, 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 blah. Obama ordered them, and they said, we don't want to do that. We did the studies. Yeah, and in those studies, they certified 5 years into the study, 62 had started, 67, they certified they could create hurricanes, kill hurricanes, weaken hurricanes, strengthen hurricanes, steer hurricanes. Okay? And that's the bottom line. So we're saying, man, this is an unusual storm. Nobody denied that, Frankenstorm. If they can really soup it up enough, if they are staging it, they can use this to suspend the election. And then now there's been discussion of suspending it. Thank God it hasn't been bad enough to do it. I mean, I guess some people aren't going to get to vote, though. Meanwhile, Romney is swinging ahead in all these major swing states. I mean, it looks like he's going to win the Electoral College and the popular vote unless the electronic voting machines kick in. And I'm not excited about that. We'll just have some new globalist puppet that'll be a distraction while the whole military-industrial complex, the foreign banking cartel that runs it, continues its operations. I mean, you know, I get to where I hate the last puppet. I didn't like George Bush. I don't like Obama. I'm sure I'll get to where I hate Mitt Romney. You know, there's always this pathetic hope that he might be better. But the point is, weather modification's real. Hurricane manipulation's real. Can we put the Washington Post? The Washington Post did an article on it that, you know, White House. I forget the exact headline. We can pull it up. You know, White House wants to modify hurricanes. You can pull that up. Bill Gates is involved in it. ABC News, not just USA Today, not just Washington Post, on this subject. The White House science czar is giving speeches on it. But then we go, hey, you can control hurricanes. Are you involved? You ordered them to start getting into it. You know, maybe you're involved. Oh, you crazy people. It doesn't exist. What's he say here? Conspiracy theorists. Love it. Conspiracy theorists just love it. What does he say? Aerospace computer engineer David Nadich explained why he believes conspiracy theorists love to blame HAARP. It's a gigantic, high-energy, Pentagon-funded gizmo located in remote Alaska wilderness that plays around with the Earth's atmosphere, he wrote. But whose purpose seems deeply mysterious and to the scientifically uninformed. Oh, I've had the director of HAARP on, and a colonel came on during the break and killed the interview when the guy was like, we can set the atmosphere on fire some nights. And I mean, you know, I've been involved in national TV show investigations with Jesse Ventura of HAARP. He's been up there. They've got HAARP arrays all over. I can show you mainstream news where the Arabs in Saudi Arabia, Dubai, you name it, are putting up their own arrays, making it rain and admitting it. The Russians have had it for 30 years or longer. The communist Chinese have got it. It's all over the news. But when we say, hey, they might be doing it, that doesn't exist. You're scientifically uninformed. Really? Can we put the Washington Post back up with the letter from NOAA via DHS? Obama ordered DHS to do it. They went to NOAA and said, do it. And they said, well, we did do it in Operation Storm Fury, which found they can control them and create them. That's Fox News, AP, Reuters. Go look up Operation Storm Fury. Hundreds of articles. Got declassified in 2006. We immediately thought, hey, let's get the guy on. Who was the director? He was, sure enough, still alive, still kicking, came on the show. Oh, look, KWTX, committee approves bill establishing weather modification program. 2005, the U.S. Senate Commerce Committee voted Thursday to approve a bill by Texas Senator Kay Bailey Hutchinson establishing a weather modification program. Yeah, we covered that at the time. And Livingston was talking to her at the time, and then they reclassified it. Yeah, they relaunched the program in the mid-90s. Obama says, go and do this. In fact, print me that, please, guys. That's what I mean. I have forgotten more than anybody would probably ever even know about this because all I do is study. It's not that I'm smart. I live this 7 days a week. I'm on the treadmill of news and research so much that you probably hear 1% of what I actually read every day here on air. I get to like 10% of what I've got here. I'm not bragging. I'm saying I know about all this because I spent time looking into it. I'm addicted. I can't even stop looking. I mean, I'm already so sped up researching, I can't stop thinking. I dream about work. I dream about research. I work while I sleep. Last night, I had dream after dream of managing people in the office. And things, people were magically listening to me. We were magically getting more done. Meanwhile, I see these throwaway lines by some guy at the skeptic site, which is the opposite of skeptics. They say, don't be skeptics of known liars. That's what Snopes and skeptics and all that does. They just go, I'm a scientist. The conspiracy theorists don't know scientifically. There's no weather modification. HAARP doesn't do anything, even though they're its own patents from Eastland Corporation admit it. You know, I mean, I had a scientist on yesterday listing patent numbers. But what do? They just go, conspiracy theory. They have throwaway lines to use against us. So there's the proof. There's the proof. There's the proof of all of this going on. There's massive weather modification. 2 weeks ago, they declassified the chemtrailing program. One program in the U.S. is $5 billion a year. Oh, here's News 10. I remember this was all over the news. I mean, in fact, you can pull this up in hundreds of papers. KWTX. What is that, out of Dallas? I can't remember. Committee approves bill establishing weather modification program. Click here for the U.S. Senate website and a copy of the Weather Modification Bureau. Oh, but they had a guy from Skeptics. Look, this site appears to not really be HAARP. The site doesn't say it's HAARP, saying they register energy increases. But this is a good scientist. He says none of it exists. Really? Really? Washington Post, KWTX, Senate.gov. I mean, you know, they're counting on you to be lazy and not go look. Now, let's get to the really scary news I've got to cover right now to protect ourselves. About 5 times in the last 4 years or so, a drunk Marine, his mom tries to throw him out of the house. He shoots 3 cops that come to throw him out. Turns out he's a white supremacist on dozens of sites saying he hates me. Within 2 hours of him being an arrest, government-connected media comes out and says that he killed the cops for me, trying to sick cops on me, hoping they don't go check the facts. 5 newspapers had to do retractions that the guy actually was a white supremacist who hated me, and he was not inspired to kill cops by Alex Jones, because I say we don't want to start a war. We don't want to have this happen. And I'm not a white supremacist, as it's known. That's why he hated me. Well, every time this happens, guess what goes on? Within hours of arrest, it's blamed on Alex Jones in newspaper after newspaper after newspaper. Newspaper links man arrested with explosives to Alex Jones. A newspaper report posted on the San Mateo County Times, also in the San Jose Mercury, you name it, website has linked Alex Jones to a man arrested with 145 pounds of dynamite in his home. Authorities, not public servants, but authorities, claim the man is linked to the sovereign citizen movement, which they can call having a get out of the UN bumper sticker or killing people. So that way they can demonize anybody by just using that, that term. William Harrell, 46, pled not guilty earlier this month to 1 felony count, each of possessing explosives, having marijuana for sale, child endangerment, and possible explosives near a resident. He was arrested after police responded to a domestic argument with his girlfriend. Police discovered 145 pounds of explosives. You never even know if that's true, folks. I've seen him on the news with one of our listeners, a guy I know personally, hold up jumper cables of his RV and go, look, pipe bombs. Pounds of explosives and $37,000 in cash in a closet of his home in Brisbane, California. According to Brisbane Police Commander Robert Miser, residents of the neighborhood were not evacuated because the explosives did not pose a threat. His girlfriend told investigators her boyfriend is a member of the sovereign citizen movement. Harrell's father, however, said his son is not a member of the group. There isn't even a group. Police have declined to directly associate him with any extremist groups. But don't worry. The San Jose Mercury News, according to FBI, people identified with the movement have killed 6 law enforcement officers, not servants, but officers, since 2000. The Mercury News reported on October 4th, however, Miser said police found no evidence that Harrell is a sovereign citizen or is tied to any extremist group. The San Mateo Times quotes Harrell's father as saying his son listens to the Alex Jones Show. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I mean, we're only on over 100 stations, 3 or 4 in California. We're only one of the biggest news websites in the world, not just alternative, one of the biggest in the world. They're in much bigger than us except drudgereport.com. But I mean, let me tell you, folks, if somebody drunk drives and they're a listener, it's my fault. If somebody beats their wife, it's my fault. If somebody believes in the Easter Bunny, it's my fault. When we come back, we'll get into the rest of it. I mean, the ADLs responded. They say I am very evil. I'm just absolutely horrible, and something's got to be done about that rascally First Amendment. Scary stuff. Which side are you on? You like the raw exercise of state power, of corporate power? You like to dominate people? Well, you're my enemy. What if I say I'm not like the others? What if I join humanity? Yeah! Yes! 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 I can just feel thousands of people right now making the spiritual choice to join freedom, to join the good guys. What if I say I'm not one of your slaves? You're the pretender. What if I say I will never surrender? Yes! Yes! You're the pretender. What if I say I will never surrender? Absolutely. Gotta love the Foo Fighters. Patriots as well. You're the pretender. What if I say I will never surrender? Look at Muse, their listeners. Mr. Bellamy, he's been on the show, fighting tyranny. Watch our flag ascend. Stand up for liberty, defeat the globalist. All right, getting back to this, ladies and gentlemen, it is an info war that we are fighting. We will be taking your calls in the next hour, especially if you're on the East Coast. I'd like to hear from you, the storm-ravaged areas, your take on the election. We'll go over the poll numbers, the geopolitical issues. I've got to get to some economic news. Toll-free number to join us, 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231. To join us, 800-259-9231. First-time callers, let me add that caveat, because we've got so many great listeners that love to get on who we love as well. But, you know, we don't screen calls, so then sometimes the same people get in. So we screen them occasionally by saying, hey, first-time callers, 800-259-9231. Please give folks a chance to get on air. I've never had a chance to get on air. Getting back to that issue, let me be conservative. The last time I did this was about a year ago. I spent a couple hours going through our YouTube channels, our affiliate channels, supporter channels, and it was 450+ million views on YouTube that we've gotten in the last few years. I haven't even done the math. I mean, it's probably 500 and something million right now. That's just YouTube. We're on over 100 AM and FM stations, some of them in big cities like Chicago, Dallas, Texas, you know, you name it. Tampa, Florida, station in between San Diego and L.A. covering 5 million people. I mean, we're on a lot of stations. Most stations brag whenever, you know, they've got 1 million people in their listening area. They say we have 1 million listeners. No, let's be honest. This isn't listening area. This is real listeners, conservatively, one way or another, 15 million people worldwide, and more than half of those are in the U.S. every week. That's a lot of people. And so every time somebody gets arrested, they go get on their computer, and if they visited Infowars.com or PrisonPlanet.com, they have a press release as part of a demonization campaign of this guy killed his wife, or this guy shot a cop, or this guy, you know, didn't cut his toenails, and it's Alex Jones's fault. And they go on in multiple newspapers today to imply that I'm an extremist and I'm bad. I mean, this is just demonization of the First Amendment. And it's like Rush Limbaugh, and they were trying to get him off air, you know, for saying, why do we have to pay for this woman's contraception? And I don't like a lot of what Rush Limbaugh does. He's attacked me a few times. I mean, I'm directly up against him on the radio. I would, you know, do great if Rush Limbaugh fell over dead, but I don't want him to. Because I believe in the First Amendment. Okay? And, you know, I've defended Limbaugh. They were trying to get him off the air and supported him. And I went and advertised on his show, by the way. We ran some ads just to try, because you know what? We got to stand together or hang separate. It's that simple. We are into hour number 2. We are going to open the phones up throughout this hour, interspersed with the latest news on the economy, the latest news on the election. I haven't even gotten in to that big stack of news, but Romney is just turbo surging everywhere, and so it should certainly make it interesting. Again, you can't help it. Romney's kind of the devil you don't know, so you automatically, at a subconscious level, root for him because Obama's got the ATF shipping guns into Mexico. Obama has media matters that the White House publicly runs, saying they want to shut us down and infiltrate and all, and infiltrate media and just really authoritarian nasties that. And they see me because I'm pro-gun, anti-abortion as a right-winger, and so attack me out of hand. I mean, it's not fun being on the White House enemies list, and that came out 2 years ago in the newspapers, that I was amongst 50 people on a White House enemies list. And believe me, the proof is, look all over the place. So, I mean, I will enjoy not being on the White House enemies list. I'll probably get back on it because I'm going to criticize Romney. But see, when WorldNet Daily went after Bush for NAFTA and GATT and the North American Union, and they didn't do dirty tricks against WorldNet Daily. We had dirty tricks, but it was usually by the Democratic Party establishment when I was defending the Second Amendment and stuff. So Republicans are horrible. I mean, let's get that. But for whatever reason, they don't want to eat us. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like the Tyrannosaurus Rex kind of walks by me in the jungle. Whenever, even though I'm throwing rocks at it, it leaves me alone. The Democrats are just such authoritarians. Their instinct to be control freaks and just run everything and dominate everything. Look at Homeland Security in the last 4 years under Obama. The groping started, all of it. The naked body scanners was a leftover of Chertoff, but into Obama accelerating. So they're all bad. And I know we're going to be disappointed in Romney, and they're probably still going to steal the election from him. It's just that it's like, you're sick of this group. You're like, you automatically like the other group at a subconscious level, but I know that's a delusion. I know it's a delusion. So let's start going to your calls right now. David in Florida, listening on iTunes. Welcome, sir.
Hey, thanks for taking my call, Alex. Good to talk to you, brother.
Thank you, man.
Hey, I wanted to ask if you've seen this President Obama makes a statement on Hurricane Sandy video that the White House put out on the 29th.
We have the one where he makes political statements. Yeah, we have that.
Yeah, I mean, he's just like talking about like all this martial law kind of sounding stuff. He's saying when state and local officials tell you to evacuate, don't question or don't delay, just follow their instructions. And then he says, if the public's not following instructions, we might have fatalities that could have been avoided.
Yeah, he's made several statements where he also makes electioneering comments. Which one are you talking about? What's the headline on the video you've got?
It's called President Obama Makes a Statement on Hurricane Sandy, and it's on the White House YouTube channel. Okay,
President Obama makes a statement on Hurricane Sandy. Yeah, I think that's the one we've got. We'll actually play that coming up. You're right. I want to get to that. He also made some other statements that are about the election, in the middle of it, trying to look presidential, but still the media is criticizing Romney for running around in the hurricane, trying to give people food. Obviously a political stunt, but also you want to help folks. So it's, the right thing, but also it's a stunt. You can't deny that. But then why is Obama doing stunts okay?
Yeah, he says at the end, the great thing about situations like this is we all pull together as a nation. So I just think it's super creepy that he's like up there grandstanding as the savior when, I mean, they've got all this weather modification, science and technology that they're using. I mean, it's just... Yeah, but you heard
USA Today. They said the scientists say there's none of that. They're experts. It doesn't matter if you can pull it up on the government websites. They're doing it. I mean, if you see an urban warfare drill and report it, they'll say you didn't see it, even if you have video. You didn't see anything, son. God bless you, sir. Good points. Yeah, we'll get to that video. More calls straight ahead. Stay with us. Friday from 12 noon to 3 p.m. Eastern, we are here live. Thank you so much for joining us. That's right, in the heart of the resistance. Again, thank you for joining us on this 31st day of October 2012. The websites are Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. We're streaming video at PrisonPlanet.tv. We're going to be looking at the latest election numbers and Romney surging in key battleground states across the United States. Also, amazing documents at Washington Post. Obama ordered DHS to control hurricanes. You cannot make this up. Looters plague hurricane victims post Sandy. Thieves poses utility workers to con residents. Wide-scale looting all over the East Coast. And an incredible article breaking at Infowars.com that is not getting attention anywhere. You know, we first began to break people on Twitter and Facebook calling for murdering Romney and rioting if Obama loses. Unless there's election fraud, if you look at all the scientific polls, the Electoral College, the popular vote, it looks like Romney is going to win handily. Right now, barring some major flub or something else, and again, I feel like I'm calling the Don King boxing match. It doesn't really matter either way. I'm sick of Team Obama and Fast and Furious and their attacks on the free press, but I mean, I'm not holding my breath for Romney to be any better. The point is it looks like Romney's right now going to win. I was on Mancow this morning, and I'll be back on tomorrow, his big syndicated show, Eric Muller. You know, he said, what's your prediction? And I'm predicting Romney will win, barring that election fraud comes in. But if Romney does win, ladies and gentlemen, we've seen that when people en masse on Twitter, whether they're white skateboarders or black inner city youth, whenever these groups organize things, more often than not, it ends up happening. You know, I go out to the hike and bike trail. I go out to Martin Springs. I go out places, and everywhere it's the new social system. It's been going on for many years, but now it's really big. And you'll see groups of people meeting to go on jogs that don't know each other, groups of people that don't know each other to go rock climbing, groups of singles meeting at Martin Springs at sunset. Let me tell you, it's a party. And it's happening. But people also organize robbing houses. They also organize robbing people at the fair. You see this all over the country. At state and county fairs, criminals will say, let's all go to the fair and rob people. It's the new culture. It's kind of out of Grand Theft Auto and all this, you know, these video games where you rape the hooker. What was that? Wasn't Grand Theft Auto. That was another one of the games I did a review of years ago where you rape the hooker and don't pay her, and then you get bonus points. Or you run over an old bag lady with a shopping cart, and you get bonuses. I listen to satellite radio quite a bit on XM, and the new cool comedy genre on the comedy radio shows is to make fun of a girl who grew up with an iron lung, paralyzed, but wrote children's books and was successful and died, you know, at 60-something. They spent 10 minutes making fun of her, calling her ugly, how pathetic she was, how her life was meant nothing. Your family's glad you're dead. Just the nastiest stuff, demonic stuff you can imagine. And so it's total gangster culture. I run into it across the board. It is now the dominant culture in America, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, is people trying to act thug life. This was big 10 years ago out in Hollywood when I first started getting contacts in Hollywood and being invited out there by different people. I mean, I'd be there at a famous director's house, and they'd have gangster tattoos all over them and be talking about thug life. I guess that's why in the movie Idiocracy, amazing director and political mind and listener of the show who swears he's going to come on soon. I talked to him a few weeks ago, Mike Judge. Idiocracy, the colonel over the guy at the Army base at Fort Hood, he becomes a pimp. And the pimp game, a white colonel becomes the pimp commander. I mean, you know, the point is that's really what it's like, folks. I mean, you'll be sitting there at somebody's house who's worth $100 million, and it's all how the pimp game's rolling. And it's just amazing that, you'll go to a professional basketball player's house, and there's 15 famous basketball players, and they're all acting like thugs. People think this is cool. And I'm going to go to your calls. I just want to point out Watson has now posted where they say they're going to kill white people. What they're going to loot in areas that are being looted, and they're going to rape white women. And you know what? I mean, whenever I've seen white supremacist groups saying they want to organize and kill black people, I've come out and said it's wrong. But whenever it's so acceptable now in the culture, and the media pushes that it's good to be racist towards white people, and that's done so blacks and whites have enmity and fight with each other. It's divide and conquer. Multiculturalism, the way it's sold, is meant to get people fighting with each other and to sell the lowest common denominator. I mean, I've had KRS-One on about this. Professor Griff's talked about it. How going back to the 80s and 90s, the media, MTV and others, and I've talked to high-level MTV people, I'll just leave it at that, who were there when they said, you're going to mainline gangster rap as the new phenomenon, and they force-fed it to be a cultural destroying system. I mean, you see what's happened to the black community, folks. It's been designed for every community, and it is outrageous. And, folks, you read this stuff. What's amazing is the people on Sunday and Monday that planned to loot, they went out and looted in the areas they said they'd loot. Just like the white skateboarders, you know, said they were going to go riot at a movie theater because there weren't enough tickets. They went and did it. I mean, let me tell you, people say they're going to go meet at the hike and bike trail. They do it. People say they're going to go, this is the new social interaction. And you're going to see more attacks. And you do have muggings and killings and attacks and looting going on right now all over the East Coast. And the media is barely covering it. And this is a big news article. Shameless looters display stolen goods on Twitter. And Paul Watson is now updating it. Sandy Loot Crew plans more heist and violence tonight. And he's updated it at the bottom that it's now calls for rape and murder. But it needs to probably be added as an update to the top. And we also need to, again, continue to red link this up at... Hey, look at this. I got 20 pipe bombs ready for tonight. Tonight we be cheeking empty hospitals for the medical bleep. And yeah, that's the big thing TSA steals out of your bags. There's a lot of them are drug addicts. And folks, we've gone and looked at these Twitter accounts. A lot of these are very old. They look to be real. And just like the others have been proven to be real. I mean, this is really, 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 really bad. And we need to get the news on this. So please, I've tweeted it out at Real Alex Jones on Twitter. Please follow us at twitter.com/Real Alex Jones. I put it out on our Facebook while we still have it. They're threatening to shut it down. I'm going to go to your calls now. And then coming up, Facebook censors Navy SEALs to protect on Benghazi Gate, and all they did was put out this little meme image, which you do on Facebook, we do this, saying Obama called the SEALs and they got bin Laden. When the SEALs called Obama, they got denied, talking about the Navy SEALs that asked for help and got refused because the group killing them has now been confirmed to have been al-Qaeda hired to run security in Benghazi. That's why they stood down. I don't know what's behind all this, but it is pretty darn amazing that this is going on. And, of course, we had our thing about this deleted off Facebook, and there's the article, Facebook now censoring political posts as hate speech. And click on our link there if you can, guys, because, yeah, the blue link there at the top, because look at what they did if you're a TV watcher. Radio listeners can just go to the site. It says, we removed content you posted. We removed the following content you posted because it violates Facebook's statement of rights and responsibilities. And it says, it's a picture of Osama bin Laden. It says al-Qaeda. That's it. So, but it's not just us. Anybody talking about al-Qaeda or the Navy SEALs or the government funding al-Qaeda, it's being deleted. And it looks like a bot's doing it. So, again, where's the media covering? Breitbart.com is covering this. DrudgeReport.com is covering this. Who else is covering this? Infowars.com. No one else is covering. Look, if they can get away with this Navy SEAL Association, Special Ops 2012.com, who's run TV ads and stuff, they've been told they're going to have their site shut down. These are public Navy SEALs, retired, not active duty. Some of them are former Navy SEAL commanders. Again, colonels and people. They can't have a Facebook. And people say, well, Facebook's its own site. No, they advertise as a commons where you put your material up there and they put ads out to you. They data mine you. They make money. They have stock offerings off your energy, off of what you do. And then they advertise that, hey, just don't have porn, don't have calls to violence, don't have hacking. Follow these rules. And, you can do whatever you want. Our own Darren McBreen got a note saying, and we have that listed in the article on his little Facebook saying, do not talk about politics or you'll be deleted. I mean, imagine in America. That's like communist China. Do not talk about politics or you'll be deleted. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, we've got to fight for the First Amendment here. We have got to do this, and we've got to exercise it. Even if you don't agree with something, you better stand for that person or organization's right to say it. Unless it's a call for violence or a call to hurt people, that's a call to action. That's illegal. That's a terroristic threat. And instead, people on Twitter that are reporting people calling for violence and calling for looting and calling for killing, if you report it, you're being deleted. If you report it, you're being deleted. I'm going to say that again. If you report it, you're being deleted. So if you try to stop people organizing crime in a racketeering operation, you are being deleted. Because, you know what, I'm starting to think Obama's controllers may want to stir up riots as an October surprise. Jones, your host. Let's go to your phone calls right now ahead of part 2 of the satire piece, the longer piece of zombies. Hidden camera of a zombie attack. This is some pretty funny stuff. The audio's funny. The video's even funnier with it. We're going to be premiering that here on the radio coming up in about 25 minutes after we take a bunch of calls. And then we'll post the video up at prisonplanet.com and Infowars.com. Right now, without further ado, let's go to Chet in New York, listening on one of our oldest affiliates. We've been on it like 14 years. 1310 AM WRSB. Welcome, Chet. Thanks for holding.
Hey, that's no problem, Mr. Jones. I just want to say God bless you, your family, and your crew for one real job you guys are doing is waking up the world, my friend.
We're trying our best, brother.
Oh, yeah, you're in. We met in 2007. We went to the protest at Ground Zero with yourself and Lou Radowski and crew.
Absolutely. It was great meeting all you guys.
Oh, it was such a great time because we were like some of the oldest couples in the crowd.
I got to say this. The people of New York, every time I've been there, are so cool. Real New Yorkers, or people from New York State, are such great, funny, smart people. And then you meet the government people, and they're so horrible. I mean, it's like two different systems, isn't it?
Oh, yes, sir. It's this is up in Nazi land. I've been calling that for years. You know, actually, my two children are young adults like yourself, sir. And, you know, they always laugh because it's like everyone's talking about the Nazis goose-stepping around now. And I've been telling my children that for, you know, ever since they were born. But to meet all you young people and to see the movement, I've been on board for like 30 years with it since I was a young guy in the 70s. But I did just want to chime in on everything you're saying. You know, I always agree with. But with the storm system, because I've been up here for a long time watching weather patterns. I'm an outside worker, et cetera, and that stuff was definitely planned. You know, something to do with the HARP system. I agree with what you're saying with Dr. Blalock because I've studied his research, so it's definitely on board. And then I believe what you said about Romney is going to win in a landslide. I was just talking to the missus this morning about that, where, you know, it looks like they're pushing it that way, and especially, you know, you get your coastal states, New York, California, of course, going for old Bumbles, but one of getting old Bumbles and count, you know, Romney. You know, what choice do you have? Actually, Alex, I had a sign up here that I got from the studio down there, WASB, for the Libertarian, Gary Johnson.
Good.
They stole it.
Really?
The town of Gates, I know it was them because I go to town hall meetings and speak about the Constitution. I'll speak about the Lord also, but... Wait a minute,
we've got to delay that. We can't have profanity on air. We can't talk about God or the Constitution. That's evil.
No, mate. No, they hated it when I went in there because I was a wee bit Scottish on them. What are you talking about? This is the land of the free, isn't it? Where'd you forget that, did you? But, you know, when you talk to your people, especially your age, even my age, I'm 55. So, you know, sometimes it's hard to make the blockade, but you, my friend, have broken so many borders for so many people, and that's why I said, God bless you, your family, and all of your crew. You guys are just stellar, in my opinion. No,
you're awesome, brother. You know, throwing this out there, yeah, O'Bumbles is going to be thrown out unless there's fraud. I've got the stack of news I haven't gotten to yet, but everybody knows it. Every poll that I mean, there's dozens, scientific, show Romney surging, even in states that have always been Democratic. And it's because people are desperate with the depression we're in. It has nothing to do. People voted for Obama in record numbers thinking it would be changed. People are hitting the reset button. It's kind of like when your computer won't work, and you just start banging the keys. I think we've all done that, or slapping the computer, or, you know, when the toaster's broken and the toast is burning and it won't come out. That happened to me last week. You start banging it and the toast comes out. People are just hitting reset, reset, reset. They're banging on it, just trying to get it working. And it had nothing to do with Romney, Obama. And what's going to happen if Romney gets in and doesn't deliver on small business incentive and getting government off our back. Let me tell you, it's going to be nasty.
Right. No, he'll make that switch turn as he is a waffler. I was talking to a gentleman this morning about that, and I have nothing against anybody. I try to just live what the Constitution says. If you want to believe that a tree is God, we'll hug it all day long. That's your business, brother, sister, whatever. But I happen to believe different and in freedom and in what the Constitution says. Now you get, a man like Mitt Romney and, President Obama, the Count and O'Bumbles. It's like, well, geez. It's like,
Obama.
I'm telling you, mate. Well, I know you got other calls and stuff, so it's a pleasure talking to you, my friend.
Hey, it's great talking to you. Man, all the New Yorkers, all the times I've been in New York, they're just like that guy. So smart, funny, great people. And then you turn around and a cop's going, get out of the street. Let me see your ID. You can't film here, you scum. I'll beat your brains out. It's such a dichotomy of great people, horrible government. He gave us a phone. He's going to do more. Hey, in the U.S., you only get a free phone under socialism. In Mexico, you get fully automatic weapons and hand grenades shipped down by the ATF so you can kill each other and so your country can collapse so they can take our guns here, blaming it on the Second Amendment. That's even nicer. So you get an Obama hand grenade under Fast and Furious. They had to take the smallest part of Fast and Furious and minimize it. They took one agent that had blown the whistle, God bless him, who the media tried to then demonize. He's suing him. I saw on the news last week. What is he suing? Is it Time? The point is, they took one agent who didn't like him ordering gun dealers to sell criminals guns. That was just part of the program. It was direct gun shipments into Mexico, hand grenades. That's all come out in court. So instead of an Obama phone, you get an Obama hand grenade or Obama machine gun. Just amazing. By the way, Joel Skousen is going to be on this for an hour and a half. Former Marine Corps fighter pilot in Vietnam, researcher, construction specialist, the author, best-selling author. It's the #1 best-selling book out there for decades, The Secure Home, 3rd edition, Strategic Relocation, 3rd edition, and now Strategic Relocation, the film. 3 hours of material, 2-hour film, but an hour of extras. Unbelievably powerful. And again, we're not saying move out to the middle of nowhere because we're going to get nuked tomorrow. We're explaining the elite are building bunkers, why they're doing it. If you've got to stay in big cities, the safest places per city, escape routes on small roads and things that people don't know about. I mean, Joel has put together research that nobody's done, and I follow his research. Well, I'd already done a bunch of research and moved to a certain area of the Texas Hill Country, and he goes like, wow, incredible you moved there. That's the best area. I'm like, well, yeah, I know that's in your new edition of your book. How do you know that? Well, he's built, I don't know, like 5-6 retreats or something just in my area. I mean, he's always somewhere building a retreat. He builds, multi-million-dollar ones and expensive ones, but I'm not pitching that fact. I'm not involved in that. The point is, we carry the Secure Home book for people that want to build secure systems from very inexpensive to very expensive. The Strategic Relocation, that's like a big roadmap book that breaks down different safer countries, safer regions, continents, weather, climate, pollution of the water. I mean, it's incredible, the lexicon of these two books and the video, the film, Strategic Relocation, available at InfoWarsStore.com. And your purchase of the film doesn't just protect you and give you a higher level of knowledge. I mean, any creature that doesn't have situational awareness of its surroundings is begging to be run over. They teach you it's weird to be prepared. No, this is smart. To think in the battlefield spectrum mode. The point is that it's all available at InfoWarsStore.com or InfoWarsShop.com or link through at PrisonPlanet.com in the shopping cart links at the top of the site. Or call 888-253-3139, 888-253-3139, or send $19.95 plus, what is it, $5 shipping and handling. We're going to start shipping these out next Wednesday. We have them in stock. We have to get a few extra seasonal crew in here just to be able to ship it all at once. So order now. It'll ship next Wednesday through next Friday. For all the pre-orders, we may even start shipping next Tuesday. It depends on how fast we get the help in here. We do this with a new release. Just because it's just too much to get out the door all at once. We're going to pump them all out, the thousands of orders the next 3 days next week. Or you can write to me, P.O. Box 19549, Austin, Texas 78760. P.O. Box 19549, Austin, Texas 760. It's not about being scared. It's about being prepared and empowered and on top of it. Now, let me hit a few headlines, and I'm going right to your calls. Marcus, Steve, Dalton, Rich, Joey. We're going to get to all of you here in just a moment. But Romney, GOP suddenly plunging on the Democratic turf, AP, and it just goes over all the different battleground states, Ohio, Colorado, Pennsylvania, Minnesota. I mean, it's traditionally Democrat, and he's dominating. Of course, if Romney doesn't buck the globalist and do the right thing, in 4 years, they'll replace him if he gets in. People are hitting the reset button, like I said. I mean, that's really what this is all about. That's why, as bad as Romney is on the Second Amendment and everything else, people are like, well, at least he's better than Obama. Poll, Romney closes gap on Obama in Michigan. So not just Pennsylvania, Colorado, Ohio. I mean, this is just domination here. That's Detroit News. The Examiner, some see GOP voting tsunami coming. Yeah, that goes over some of the polls. New polls show Obama, Casey still up in PA. Yeah, it's a dead heat, but it's closing. Obama gets a little electioneering in during FEMA briefing. We have that FEMA briefing we're going to get to after some calls here in a moment. And we've got a special guest who's going to be in studio. Continuing, MSNBC ridicules Romney for collecting food and supplies for Sandy victims. Well, of course, if he didn't do it, they would attack him. It's just ridiculous. Obama dominates Romney in Russian opinion poll. Yeah, they really think Romney's bad news because he said Russia's our main enemy, which the globalists love. Gingrich, senator, told me networks may have White House emails commanding counterterrorism group to stand down on Benghazi rescue. Yeah, if that was brought out, that would bring down Obama. So we've got that, but I don't believe anything coming out of Newt Gingrich, Mr. New World Order's mouth, who's been for restricting guns, open borders, and wrote the foreword to 2 books calling for world government. Alvin and Heidi Toffler's books. I forget the names of them. I read them years ago. Go look it up. He called for chipping everyone. If you don't believe me, look it up. I mean, it's some really sick stuff. I don't want to get off into a jag about Newt Gingrich. I mean, it's like Herman Cain. I mean, the guy is a Federal Reserve governor. The guy, lied about the women. And my point is, just don't put your trust in anybody, in a politician that's gotten to that level. Because they've been bought and sold 100 times over. Okay, let's go to your calls. Marcos in California, thanks for holding. You're on the air. What's your take on all of this?
Actually, it's Marcus, but thanks for having me, Alex. I just want to say, me and my 2 coworkers here in California listen to you pretty much every single day, and we love it. We love the information that you provide, and it's just, we think you're doing a great work.
Well, thank you so much, and sorry I got your name wrong.
Yeah, no, it's okay. You know what I just wanted to touch on was something that you're actually talking about earlier. You were kind of going over like how a lot of the games and a lot of the things that the government kind of more so promoted, like the gang violence and thug life being cool and all that. I mean, being 23, I have plenty of friends my age, especially out here in California. Los Angeles is actually known for that. I mean, in more ways than one. But what I more so wanted to touch on was like, I kind of see on Facebook and Twitter and all that how ignorance is way, way, way too glorified. And not only that, but
well, no, exactly. People that are even smart will act gangsterish and dumb down because it's seen as totally sexy. And I'm just so sick of, like, being at the park or something and there's, like, teenagers trying to act like gangsters. And I'm not looking for trouble, but, I mean, you mess with me, I'm going to start literally beating people's brains out. And, I mean, that's just how I am. I mean, you mess with me, I don't have a governor. You're going to get attacked like a savage gorilla is on top of you. I mean, that's just how I am. And I'm just, and so many of these people are wimps. And the minute they say something, you go, okay, you got a problem? Then they back off. It's all, again, acting like you're tough. It's like all these guys in UFC shirts that'll, for no reason, say, you got a problem, buddy? When you're, at a grocery store or something, you're like, no, I don't have a problem. And they start bowing up, and then all of a sudden you can't help it. You're like, well, go ahead and swing, punk. Let's go. And they're like, hey, man, what's your problem? Well, wait. Again, it's all about acting like they're these really cool people. When I'll guarantee you they hadn't been in a hospital, you know, with a concussion. I bet they haven't had their leg broken in a fight. I bet they haven't killed, you know, somebody in a fight. These people have never really lived, and they want you to think they're some powerful gangster. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I mean, what I really was going to touch on, too, though, is what you see a lot is, like, on Facebook, like, I see a lot of my friends are like, Obama this, Obama that, Obama's amazing, and he's this and that, he's my favorite president, 2 terms, this and that, and I'm really just like, you know, what I'll do is on these things, I'm getting into these huge political arguments. It's like people that I considered close friends that are calling me, just scrutinizing me, calling me every name in the book, just because I'll post, like, a link about Obama and the NDAA, or I'll post a link about FEMA camps, and like, really, is that who you want?
No. They think it's cool to peck at someone who's informed. That's what I'm telling you. It's like Idiocracy, the movie, where if you know how to talk, you know, they make fun of you and go, "What are you, gay?" You know, we actually use a more pejorative term. The point is that that people revel in ignorance, but it's not just kids and people acting like thugs. It's yuppies and other people will giggle and laugh at you. You know, most people actually are starting to wake up, but I have countless folks, anytime I'm in public, come over and shake my hand. Black, white, old, young, Hispanic, you know, Italian immigrants, people from Russia, Japan. I mean, people worldwide listen and watch, and they've experienced it in their countries. They know it isn't a joke, especially people that have come from tyranny. They've seen it before, and they're like, you know, like, hey, you're absolutely right. Thank God for what you're doing. And they're electrified when they talk to you because they're concerned. They're living in the real world. But we've got people in this country that have had so much freedom so long, they think it's all a big joke nihilistically. And they're literally whistling past the graveyard. Go ahead, sorry.
No, it's okay. And just one question before we do get off, because I know you got plenty of things to touch on. I just wanted to ask you, what do you think about, like, what I've just hated was in all these elections, you know, all the debates and everything they've had, whether it be the vice presidents or the presidents themselves, no one wants to mention that, like what's coming up in the next upcoming year, like the NDAA, the killing of the dollar. I mean, they touch on
checkpoints, all of it. No, exactly. People think it is an attribute to not be informed or involved. Thank you for your call. Great points. We'll go to more calls in a moment. But finishing my point, 90% of people that have got the, you know, the will to come over and talk to somebody, they're going to be listeners because, hey, they like you. When people dislike you, you'll be in a restaurant and you'll see some, you know, guy smiling and laughing. It's usually kind of a liberal professor, psychologist type. A lot of times I freak them out. I go, "You're a psychologist, aren't you?" And they'll go, "Well, how do you know that?" And I go, "Well, you're a priest class. You're on a power trip. You think you know everything. I can tell what you are." It really freaks them out that you can guess who they are. But sometimes it's kind of a yuppie, nouveau riche, you know, guy out at 55 on his Harley. I've had them come over a few times. It's always these certain types, or it's punk kids. But you'll see them laughing at you, and they'll finally say, "Conspiracy theorist," and look to see if it hurts your feelings. And a lot of times I'm busy, I'll ignore them. But if they come over and start making jokes, like, "Are the black helicopters going to get me? Or the Martians going to get me?" And I'll look at them and I'll say, "Hey, how many family members you got that have got cancer right now or who've died of it young? If you think cancer's dying, you know, in the vaccines is funny, go ahead and laugh. But if I was you, I'd care about GMO sterilizing your butt. I'd care about aspartame giving you brain tumors. Don't sit there and come over and make a joke at me because you think all this is funny." And they'll go, oh, I mean, I actually agree with you on a lot of stuff. And I asked my friend Tommy Pilata years ago about why they'll get in your face, but when you go back, they'll respond and grovel. And I said, it shows they're really awake. And he goes, "No, that's not what it is, Alex." And I actually later learned he was right in a general sense. They are just flotsam and jetsam. They have no view of their own. And so when you're authoritative with them and don't grovel in fear, they just want to make you feel bad to make themselves feel good. When you slam them back, they're such followers, they'll start groveling. Because, you know, I've had guys walk over, you know, usually the kind of the redneck type and go, "Hey," kind of hit you on the shoulder. "How you doing, Alex?" And then grab your hand and start trying to crush it. You know, those types. And you'll pull your hand back, and they're like, "Oh, hey, yeah, I really like what you're doing. Bet you're glad the troops are dying," you know, stuff like that. And I'll just be like, "Hey, man, if you don't agree with me, you don't need to talk to me. Just get out of my face." And the fact that you don't grovel to them, they're like, "Oh, no, it's all right. It's all right. I just meant it." I'm like, just get out of my way. And again, it's the reality. People know reality. The fact that you're not starting to fight, but you're already thinking about how you're going to bounce their head off the concrete repeatedly. Because I'm not going to play games with somebody that's about to assault me. I'm just going to jump on top of you and slam your head in the ground a bunch. I'm going to attack you with 110% energy immediately. And you better hope you're a wrestling champion or something. I'm not trying to get up here like a wrestler and talk like I'm tough. My point is, it's like that in politics or life or anywhere else. You've got to be explosive in business. You've got to be explosive in combat. You've got to be explosive in your responses to everything. And when these yuppies and ninnies and gangbangers and people want to get in your face and henpeck you, you've got to take it personally, America and the rest of the world, and get aggressive and say, don't tread on me. I ain't looking for trouble. But if you are looking for it, you came to the right place. Because none of us are going to get out of this alive. And when we have an attitude of rolling over like a bunch of sheep, wolves are going to come. Free men are ready to fight for their freedom anytime it needs to be done. But you've got to have more than just guts. You've got to have an intellect and a battlefield perspective to know what's going on in this world. And war, this life is a war. Life is a battle. And let me tell you what winning is. Being moral, being strong, making the right decisions, raising your children to be good people, and upholding your family name and moving the species forward. That's what victory is, and that's what we should be looking for. Let's go ahead and talk to Dalton in Georgia. I'm sorry I'm ranting, Dalton. I'm out of control.
Hey, Alex, happy Reformation Day.
Happy, yeah, I'm just trying to pull up what you said. What'd you say?
Yeah, today's Reformation Day. Instead of Happy Halloween, I was giving you Happy Reformation Day. Listen, you remember?
Sorry, go ahead.
You remember you said one time that if the FBI harasses you, you better get out there more?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, my wife had a visit from the FBI. She got pulled by Georgia State Patrol and just didn't comply with everything. He locked her up. I went and got her out later that night. And about 3 weeks later, the FBI came by and wanted to know why she wears a head covering and why her and a friend of hers had matching head coverings. Because, we're Christians, and she's got that conviction. Just like men walking to church, they take their hat off. She, keeps her head covering on.
So you're kind of like a Mennonite or Amish?
No, I'm not. I don't dress like that. I wear shorts and stuff working, but...
No, I understand, but more and more people are going back to old-fashioned Christian stuff. So the cop took her to jail because she was wearing a scarf on her head.
Well, she got in the police car and did an Alex Jones rant, right? Right in the camera. They got a camera in the police cars now. So that might be one of the reasons. Also, you know how you told people get out there as much as you can? Well, I started having a good rapport with the local radio here. And so every morning I give an intelligence report. And 9 times out of 10, it ends up being your talking points without me even knowing it, but I just can't say you. Because every time I say you, he says, oh, my God, what So,
no, that's fine. No, notice you already know what's going on without even hearing me. Because we don't even have to hear each other or know each other. We know what's important.
Now, he came by, he wanted to know why I had a root cellar, right? That's a big deal with the food safety bill. And he wanted to know why I had tents up. I had a couple tents up because we were doing tabernacles. We hadn't gone back to Judaism. We're just doing the whole Bible instead of Ishtar and Christ Mass, So listen, if you were on Twitter saying kill Romney, burn things down, and murder people, you wouldn't get a visit. But yeah, the fact that you're a Christian and engaging in ancient Christian rituals is terrorism, sir. FEMA has taught George Washington is bad. Coming up, we're going to have an in-studio guest for about 35 minutes and more of your calls. He's one of the evil preppers. He has a clearance to go into nuclear power plants. A lot higher than the stupid TSA people, but they said, you're not flying because you're a prepper. You're our enemy. So that is coming up in studio with Wade Hicks. But first, we're going to premiere part 2 of When Zombies Attack InfoWars. And then if you're a radio listener, we're going to post this video in the next 10 minutes up at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com for everybody. But here is the piece that the crew put together, directed by our own John Bound. Here it is.
Fluoride is good. The chemtrails are great. Mainstream media, they tell the truth. Fluoride is good for you. The Federal Reserve is good for us. Chemtrail big. They smell good. Good for air. GMO food good. Obama tell truth. Romney save country. Mainstream media tell truth.
Obama, Romney, vaccines, good, good. Television, good. Romney, vaccines, GMO, good, good. Obama, he buy me phone. Obama buy me phone, good.
I vote Obama. He give us phone. He gonna do more.
Keep Obama in president, you know.
Yeah.
Obama phone, good.
You disability, you welfare, food stamp, you get free phone. Obama another 4 year.
Romney sucks.
Bad.
Obama good.
Romney good.
GMO good.
Fluoride good for teeth.
TSA gropey good.
TSA stick hand in my pants for safety.
Drones overhead good. Vaccine in arm good.
Mainstream media tell you truth. Nuke Iran.
Good.
Romney nuke Iran. Obama support Unconstitutional Patriot Act.
Romney supporting NDAA good.
Obama support that too.
Romney Medicare good.
Obama Medicare good.
Drones Romney good.
Drones Obama good.
Romney good.
Obama good.
Romney good.
Obama good. Romney good. Romney good.
Romney
good. Romney good.
Unbelievably good. The presentation you have just witnessed is a test. Are you conscious? Are you aware that you are being manipulated? Or have you descended into a dreamlike zombie state that much of the public is suffering from? In the power-packed November issue of InfoWars magazine, we detail, with the scientific facts in 4 separate articles, the proof that the public is being brainwashed. Our brainwaves are lowering, our IQs are dropping, and we are being turned into nothing more than biological androids. You can buy copies of InfoWars magazine at cost in bundles of 10 up to 100. All right. And give them to your friends and family. Folks, you can watch the full video. There's more up at Infowars.com. We're posting it now. Stay with us. This is unbelievable. We don't just have Salon, USA Today, but now Time Magazine attacking us because we dare link to Washington Post 3 years ago where Obama was ordering DHS to start manipulating hurricanes. But do they point that out in our articles? No. They go, InfoWars, like Pastor Harold Camping apologizing for rapture missteps. We never said the world was going to end last year. We said, hey, the Washington Post says they're manipulating hurricanes. You think this can be manipulated? They have what, you think the rapture's coming? You were wrong last year, Jones. We're like, well, that's not us. This article, Conspiracy Theorists Weigh In on Sandy. Man, this is designed for like idiots that read Time Magazine to feel real smart when they read about weather modification. Yeah, it's in the bizarre section. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Just absolutely ridiculous. Conspiracy theorists weigh in. That means people that don't trust known criminals. Rich in Tennessee, listening on an iPhone app, free iPhone app. Rich, thank you for calling. What is on your mind today? He's strangling the telephone. I want to continue this. I like it. Rich, you're on the air.
Yeah. Yes, hello. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you, sir.
I just wanted to let you know that I've been listening to your show for quite a long time now, and that I've been able to wake up quite a few individuals, and we've, including my family and my brother who is in the military, and he's been able to wake up individuals in the military as well. We've been plastering your InfoWar magazines to people and all over town and town square, and it's just amazing.
Well, don't do that. People might wake up. Yeah, this new issue is 60 pages. I am so proud of it. It's got a big color poster in it exposing the left-right paradigm. I mean, I'm really proud of the crew and the job that they've done. And it 4 articles on brainwashing and the zombification, and then, of course, a bunch of other articles on the implosion of the economy, the TSA out of control, taking over the public schools. And it's got a big write-up. It's got a crossword puzzle in the back, folks. Look at this. I mean, we now have a world-class crossword puzzle in the back here. And then one of the top cartoonists in the country who's for syndicated columns, big newspapers, Ben Garrison, who I've grown up reading and loving. It turns out he's a listener. And look at this, a 2-page spread. A 2-page spread in the back with Ben Garrison. Now that you've called in about the magazine, I'm sorry. I just didn't finish plugging it last segment. Yes, InfoWars magazine at cost. Are you having any effect handing these out to people?
Absolutely. We're having people ask questions and wake up, and I'm starting to talk to coworkers about it. They see me reading the magazine. I've distributed them within the break rooms here, and just another point on where I work. I know this is off the subject of the magazine, but they're really pushing for the vaccination where I work. It's not at a medical facility. It is a very large engine manufacturer who continually announces and bombards. As I walk in, I see posters everywhere about the flu vaccine is so good, and you don't want to be one of those guys.
Well, tell us the company, because I bet it's got a subsidiary, or it's a subsidiary of Merck or somebody. Yeah, first they make medical workers take it. Then now they're taking anybody that goes to the hospital take it. Now they're making pregnant women take it with outside law when they know it hurts the baby. And now, yeah, businesses are trying to say, we're not just going to take urine tests, we're going to make you take shots. Tell us the engine maker.
It's Cummins Inc., Cummins Engine Manufacturing.
Unbelievable. And so you go in there and they get in your face and say, take vaccines.
Oh, absolutely. And several of my coworkers are standing up and asking. And I see the more of the, because it's a very diverse business, and I see more of the American workers just sitting back and going, oh, yeah, it's something we need to do. And the people who are over here from, other countries are going, what's going on? Well, why are we doing this? Why are you guys I'm not getting a vaccine.
Yeah, in Poland, they give out shots and a whole bunch of people died. Absolutely unbelievable. You ought to shoot a YouTube video about it. Anything else, sir?
No, that's it. And
God bless you. Shoot a YouTube video about it. This is important.
Defending the Republic from enemies, foreign and domestic. It's Alex Jones.
Welcome back. We are into the third hour of worldwide broadcast here today. In the last 2 weeks, there have been thousands of tweets on Twitter calling for rioting if Obama loses and calling for killing Mitt Romney. Now, undoubtedly, out of thousands of tweets, some of them are fake accounts, joke accounts. Many of them, though, have hundreds and thousands of tweets and followers. And are real accounts. And the Secret Service has responded to some, but not to a lot, and confirmed it's real people moronically out there saying that. My point is that if you mildly talk about the president, generally you get a Secret Service visit. We've had them. Just over things that listeners have posted that was mild. And like, well, why are you here talking to me about it? Well, how do you feel about your listeners saying that? Well, number one, I don't want any violence on the president, whether it be Mitt Romney or Obama or Bill Clinton, because they're really just globalist puppets. And that would make them a martyr. So we've talked about that, but we have just seen hundreds of tweets with people saying that they are going to loot. We reported on that on Monday. The Atlantic magazine and others said there will be no looting. We were conspiracy theorists. There has been a bunch of looting. That's in the news. We've got links to that. Big looting in Coney Island. Brooklyn, there's big fights and looting and stuff all over. There's stuff in New Jersey, Rhode Island. The list goes on and on. Obviously, though, there are spoof accounts online making jokes about all this. And obviously, some of the stuff we link to is going to be real. Some won't. The point is the looting is going on. Some people joke about looting. Some of them are doing it. the people showing stolen goods. Some of it's going to be real, some of it isn't going to be. The point is, the looting's going on, the attacks are going on, and the media said that we were wrong and the looting did happen. So that is all up at Infowars.com. Our spoof video, Zombies Attack, Hidden Camera on how the public's been dumbed down, very funny. That's up at PrisonPlanet.com, and Infowars.com is the top story. Brooklyn residents in fear of looters pretend to be FEMA workers. Steve Watson's got an article on that. Newspaper links man arrested with explosives to Alex Jones. That's in the San Jose Mercury News, and others with no proof. They just say he's linked to me, so there you go. Again, shameless looters display stolen goods on Twitter. Facebook flags PAC's Obama Benghazi meme. Yeah, that's a great article that Adon Salazar wrote, but most people won't know what a PAC is. We should probably change it. Facebook flags Navy SEALs Obama Benghazi post. U.S. Supreme Court to argue use of canine search outside your house. And so now that'll be the reason to come in your house without warrants. So that's just some of the articles we've got up at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Now, we're joined in studio for about 40 minutes or so, then we'll go to your calls, by Wade Hicks, who has been nice enough to drive to Austin. He was already driving back through since he got back to the continental lower 48 from Hawaii, where he was stranded for 6 days trying to go visit his wife who's in the military. And Wade Hicks is a defense contractor. I'll let him break down his bio short and sweet for you. But, as he pointed out to our crew, he's got one of the little transportation cards, the highest level, where you can go into nuclear power plants. He can go anywhere. But here is the TSA and Customs in Hawaii when he's about to go visit his wife in, was it Okinawa? And they said, you can't fly. So we're going to break down what happened to him. We first heard about this from the Northeast Intelligence Network, and then days after we interviewed Wade Hicks, it ended up being in the Associated Press, you name it. Here's ABC News. No fly list strands man on island in Hawaii. U.S. citizen says he's stranded in Hawaii by no fly list because of his controversial views, which is prepping. NDAA critic stranded in Hawaii at returning up on no fly list. They had one of the top cricket players in the world and lives in England most of the time, very admired, pro-Western. He criticized drone strikes. He's probably about to be the next Pakistani president. They pulled him off a flight in the U.S. and said, why don't you like the drones? It's the new political officers, the commissars, like the Soviets had, in your face. So here are all of those articles. This is the new system where there's a checkpoint, they run your data, and you just disappear. That's what's coming next under the NDAA. So he criticizes the NDAA, is put on a no-fly list because the NDAA says they can just disappear you. Well, now they're doing the first stage of that, like the Nazis at the train station checking papers, but now it is biometric. Wade Hicks, again, thank you for taking a route through Texas on your way back to Louisiana. Tell us about yourself. Take your time. Tell us blow by blow what happened to you, what they told you, what you went through, and why you think you were put on that list outside of just the fact that they thought you were controversial.
Well, thanks for having me, Alex. A little professional background about myself. I'm 34 years old. I worked as a civilian contractor for a private company that had a government contract through Military Sea Lift Command, and I worked with their Special Missions program for approximately 5 years. I've held numerous different variations of security clearances. I have a transportation worker identification credential that's issued by the TSA. Just recently, not even a month ago now, I got a Mississippi Enhanced Concealed Carry Permit so I can carry a firearm concealed in a government building in the state of Mississippi. To get that requires a pretty intensive background investigation by the FBI. Had I been under any sort of investigation or indictment for anything, they would have never issued that permit. So it's really weird how I could possibly get on a no-fly list. And while I was over there in Hawaii, I'd received a phone call from a service member's spouse offering assistance if I needed a place to stay, which I was really grateful for, but I didn't want to really get anybody else involved in the situation because I didn't know how far they were going to go with this. And in your own expense, you were there for 6 days, right? Yes, 5 days. 5 days. Yeah. The Associated Press said 6, that's why I said 6. It started 4, 5, 6 days. But, yeah. I landed Sunday, flew a military flight out of Travis Air Force Base, landed in Hawaii on a connecting flight. And on that connecting flight, we had to stop and get off the airplane. They took all of our gear and stuff off, and we had to go out and then go back, get another ticket, go back through security. And when we went back through security the second time, everything went just as it did the first time, perfectly normal. After that happened, sitting in the secured area of the airport waiting, and one of the workers at the Air Mobility Command Terminal, which is active duty Air Force, came up to me and said, sir, you need to come with us. And I went with him. We went over back by Customs, said that Customs had an issue that needed to be resolved before I would be allowed to continue on my flight. I jokingly said, well, you know, I was already checked when I came into California. I didn't bring any fruits or vegetables with me on the flight. And I guess Hawaii is really strict about that as well. But there was no one there with Customs. The office was locked. The lights were off. Doors were closed. It was just like they're as confused about the situation as I was. So I went and hung out in the break room that the Air Force enlisted personnel take their breaks in. And I was there 15, 20 minutes. Then all of a sudden, two guys show up with the Air Force security forces, and they're like the rapid response team, so they're armed with M4s and grenade launchers. And they show up, and I'm like, hey, are you guys here for me? They're like, are you Wade Hicks? I said, yeah, that's me. He says, yeah, we're here for you. I said, well, let's get this out of the way. You know, if you want to search me, I'm unarmed. I don't have anything that's dangerous to you or myself. So if y'all want to search me, let's get this out of the way. Let's get it done. I want you to know that I'm not a threat. And they're like, oh, that won't be necessary. We just got told to come stand by. So that. And
they do that all the time now to old ladies. Congressmen have been put on the no-fly list. And it's just getting everybody ready to disappear you. That's what this is. They just put you on a list, and you can't own guns anymore, can't have a job, you just disappear.
Well, it's like a beta test. They're doing it to see what they can get away with and what they can't get away with. And evidently, because my story went viral on the internet, thanks to some friends that, you know, knew the guys over at homelandsecurity.us website, you know, they got my story out because I was really scared.
Yeah, that's Doug Hagman was first gave it to us, and we were able to break it thanks to him.
I was in the situation looking at it going, you know, all right, I'm here in Hawaii. I'm not being detained. They told me I could go. I just couldn't get on an airplane. So I'm really concerned about my safety at that point because, you know, it's really easy to get ran over by a car walking through a crosswalk or something like that. And, oh, well, it was an accident. So I was really watching my back the whole time I was over there, and I really avoided traveling, renting cars or anything like that while I was there.
Now, again, get into why this happened.
Well, back when they passed the National Defense Authorization Act of 2012, they had the indefinite detention provision in that act. And I read it. I was very disturbed by what it said because it basically says that the U.S. military can, if they choose to do so, indefinitely detain a U.S. citizen against their will without any due process.
And no one even know you disappeared.
No, and that's the thing. It's the
thing of take him away to the dungeon. I mean, it's the essence of tyranny.
Yeah, well, they're saying, well, you're a threat because we said so. There's no due process or nothing else. I mean, we've already had one incident where they've killed an American citizen overseas just because he was alleged to be a threat.
And they're setting the precedent. Continue.
Yeah, and that's what I was scared of. You know, well, now I'm on the no-fly list. Okay, how am I going to get home? And I asked the special agent with Customs, how am I going to get home? I don't know. That's her response. Well, I don't know, but you can't fly. Well, there's no way to get off this island unless I either...
And now the IRS is saying, we don't care if Congress doesn't pass a law. If we say you owe money, they're going to not let you leave the U.S. And now they're not letting people take legal money out, money that's after taxes. People are trying to move to Switzerland. They're telling them, no, you can't. They're locking the country down.
They're definitely doing something behind the scenes because I got to see it firsthand. And the special agent's look on her face when we were doing the whole, there wasn't even really an interview process or anything. She was confused about the situation as much as I was. She says, well, do you have any idea why you would be on the no-fly list?
No, they always act like that. It's all part of their joke. We're going to go to break. I want to come back and have you continue what happened and then what happened once they, took you off of it and, getting into the behind the scenes of this new system where they want to persecute people for their mild political speech as a chilling effect. I mean, this is the long, dark winter that Alexander Solzhenitsyn talked about. If we give in to this intimidation, they win, they take over. These are criminal tyrants. We'll be right back. I'm throwing a lot of points in here. It's just so crazy that extrajudicially, the former White House Chief of Staff, Rahm Emanuel, now Chicago boss, I've got the video clips. We can play them. We've played them before where he said, hey, we're going to put you on a no-fly list. Then we're going to take your guns. No judge, no jury. And I remember seeing TSA 10 years ago say you're going to have to get a card to have a job anywhere. So they've started with, quote, critical infrastructure. You have one of those cards. Now they're expanding it. But here you are flying to Hawaii, to fly to Okinawa, to see your wife is in the military. You've been a defense contractor. You got all the security clearances. And now you're sitting there. And so what do they tell you? Just at your own expense now, you're stranded. Bye-bye. I mean, go back and finish that part of the story.
Well, the special agent told me that I was not permitted to fly. I was not being detained. And I asked her, I said, well, don't you think there's something wrong with this, ma'am? Under the Constitution, I don't know if you swore an oath to it, but I'm pretty sure the rest of these guys here that are in the Air Force and, you know, even that DOD police officer probably swore an oath at one point in time to the Constitution. I said, now, I'm being deprived of my right to due process. How can you sleep at night when you do things like that?
Yeah, they're militarily seizing transportation and outside of law or any authority just saying you can't. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, the military has a huge problem with that because DHS and the U.S. military are separate. What business does Homeland Security have to tell the military how to operate their aircraft?
Exactly. You've got military clearance. They're flying you out to see your wife, which is part of the program. People, you know, there's room on the flights. But I'm sorry, I'm interrupting. So you say, well, you know, this is the Constitution.
The Constitution guarantees the right to due process, which I was deprived of.
And what did she say?
She says, well, I'm sorry. I said, well, you know, not as sorry as I am because this country's just going downhill. And if you're not willing to make a stand and say this is not right, I mean, I guess no one is.
Well, that's why we're here. All these people will do whatever they're told. The Nuremberg defense of just following orders.
Yeah, well, that's the problem, that they're just following orders. And I made it clear to the guys with the guns in the Air Force. I said, look, I understand you guys don't want to hurt me, but you're just following orders. I understand how that works. You're worried about your careers and things like that. You can't let me go because they'll court-martial you if you do. Of course, they wouldn't let me get on a plane anyway, so it was kind of pointless.
But you've got to ask them, how far will you go following orders?
I've asked active duty military how far they would go, and they have their lines in the sand.
Yeah, but the system has a way of moving that line down the road. So finishing up, why did they put you on the list?
Well, that's what I haven't found. I haven't found any reason why they would put me on the list. The only thing is what I can assume is I'm outspoken about the National Defense Authorization Act. I've contacted my members of Congress.
An American contacted the representative? Ooh, that's really bad.
Yeah, evidently.
Wow, that's evil.
Evidently, I guess my viewpoint represents 13,000 people, I guess, is the statistic.
Well, I mean, even knowing how to contact a representative is bad.
Well, then they must really love me because I contacted 5 senators and 2 representatives.
Oh, so un-American to contact a representative. Wow, what's next? You might actually have a free speech.
Well, that's it. I mean, not only are they depriving me of due process, they're infringing on my First Amendment right, if that is indeed the reason they put me on the list.
We've interviewed Marines and others who they want to become infiltrators, guys that they know are really gung-ho and have a great record. They put really good guys on a no-fly list who they actuary out and profile that are business guys that have got to fly, who are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, who are professional, who can manage. That's who they want. And for 6 months, you can't fly. And then the FBI shows up and goes, come with us to a hotel. You're going to get your capacity for your job back, and we're going to pay you. We want you to infiltrate groups and work for us now. And we put you on that list so you'd submit to us. I mean, that's how they make you an agent. A minion is they destroy your life for no reason, and they go out and find hard-working, really smart guys that they think will be good slaves.
Yeah, well, it's not going to work with me. They're going to have to kill me first.
Well, I think that's probably what it was. It might not even be that you criticize the NDA. They probably want you because you have a patriot background to infiltrate. If I had to guess, they want you as an infiltrator. And they were going to put you on this list for the next 6 months till you, I mean, do you need to fly as part of your job?
No.
Well, then that might not be it.
I don't contract anymore. I'm out of that line of work. I'm partially disabled because I blew my knee out. So I'm pretty much going back to school for history, and then I want to focus on constitutional law.
Well, that's probably just because you criticized him then. Also, was there ever any prepper meetings you went to or anything?
Yeah, I was a point of contact for the Mississippi Preparedness Project for over 2 years.
And then what's the rest of that story? Didn't you guys think you had a mole in there or something?
We had a guy that came in to the organization, came over to my house, and I have a meet and greet with everybody to kind of get a generalized feel for them, and see where their heart is. You know, if their heart and mind's with prepping and with the Constitution and with freedom and liberty, you know, we welcome them in.
Basically evil, yeah.
Yeah. If we don't care what political persuasion they are, Democrat, Republican, Independent, doesn't matter. But this guy came in and he had a really fantastic story about how he was a Navy SEAL. And
yeah, and they always try to radicalize. This is why you're on the list. We're going to come back and finish that story straight ahead. And then about halfway into this 18-minute segment, we're going to go to some of the phone calls, people holding out there. You can just ride shotgun with us out for the rest of the hour. Wade Hicks is here with us. We ought to interview him again in studio tonight on the Nightly News since he's here, but I always got to get on down the road through Louisiana on to Mississippi to his family. Now, Wade Hicks is not only an evil defense contractor with a national security clearance, he's been a listener of this show for 5 years. All right, I want to go to some phone calls here, but I've been interjecting a lot. You're going to be on the Nightly News tonight with our own reporters here. We're going to have David Knight interview you, who was good enough to dig through all the contacts and find out that I believe you'd contacted us. But the point is that it's good to have you here. We can't give into this intimidation or we're going to lose everything. Again, Wade Hicks was put on a no-fly list and stranded for almost 6 days in Hawaii while traveling from the continental United States to Hawaii in a layover to go visit his wife, who's in the military, in Okinawa. And he was on a military flight. They do that with the spouses when they have the room. It's a good program. And the military didn't particularly like the fact that DHS is there in control of everything when they'd already cleared somebody to be flying. So, I mean, how did they act? Because I want to go back to the guy that infiltrated your public group, but they infiltrate acting like you're doing something wrong, be like infiltrating the Salvation Army, your prepping group. And I think that's probably what got you on the list. But what did they say when they just said, okay, leave now? Just go live on the streets of Hawaii for the rest of your life. I mean, this is going to become a new phenomenon where we're just wandering around stuck wherever we're at because government said so.
Well, I was pretty much stranded there for a week. So I called the special agent the next morning to find out if I was going to be able to have an interview with the FBI and get my name cleared so I can continue on my journey. And she's like, well, we're working on a remedy. It's going to take some time. There's a lot of paperwork that has to be generated. I said, well, I'll give you a week, and then I'm going to get off this island.
And they won't tell you how you get on it.
No.
That's the thing. They probably put you on it.
Well, I have a relative that is in the FBI. I called him personally and said, hey, look, should I go turn myself in? Do they have something on me where I should turn myself in and have my due process and get cleared? Because this is crazy. And
no, that's the essence of it. There is nothing. Go ahead.
Well, he says, well, were you affiliated with any type of patriot groups or anything like that? I said, well, yeah. He says, well, that's probably what got you put on the list. And
he thinks that's good. If you're aware of the takeover, which is public, I can play clips saying we're now been taken over by foreign banks. You should now have your rights taken for committing no crime.
Well, I can't allude to what his personal thoughts are on it. I didn't ask him because he was at work, and of course, all the lines there are tapped as well. Yeah. But I don't think any true American likes this entire ordeal.
It's outrageous.
It's crazy. And if one thing can come out of this is that the situation that happened to me, hopefully I can work with Congress and get things done so this never happens to
Bro, they put CNN reporters who've criticized the TSA mildly on the list. They have they've done 4-year lawsuits because they got documents that my name and Matt Drudge's name. They teach the TSA we're terrorists. That's been confirmed, but they can't get the full documents. But they teach them we're extremists and all this stuff. Bob Barr's suing them trying to get the full documents. So they're just total creepazoids.
Yeah,
man.
it's you're on the list because we said so. That's the entire thing. There's no due process.
They put Congress people on it. I mean, this is outrageous.
It's all politically motivated.
Anyway, so continue.
So anyway, getting back to the guy that infiltrated our group or attempted to infiltrate the group. He came telling us a fantastic story of how he was a Navy SEAL. He was with SEAL Team 2, and he really didn't like it. He tried to get transferred to another team, but they do a lot of cold weather operations and everything. And the story wasn't making sense because in my contracting days, I've actually been around vessels with Navy SEALs on them and had conversations with them, and they don't talk like that. They don't talk about what they do. I kind of joke around and say they're bipolar because when they have their game face on, that's all they're doing is the mission. It's the most important thing. And then in their personal lives, they're very quiet. You wouldn't know one if you ran into them on the street. And his mannerisms and his actions did not add up to someone that was of that caliber of individual. He did not fit the profile in any way, shape, or form. So as soon as he left the house, I started digging, made a call to JSOC over in California, and requested a FOIA over the phone. I got the results from the FOIA in less than a week. And it said he'd never been in the SEALs, had undergone no SEAL training. I then contacted someone that was in the Mississippi National Guard that was military police, And I asked him, hey, can you check this guy out and let me know yes or no, is he in the military or was in the military? Because he did have a retired ID. He ran a basic check, just running his name and his date of birth, information that was I already had, and nothing came up. But this guy had retired military ID, a DD-214, stating that he had SEAL time. And
so you blew one of their operatives.
Pretty much. And then I just happened to be out in town and was driving down the road, and I saw his truck with the tag that's not registered to him or that vehicle, a retired Afghanistan veteran tag. So I just kind of tailed him, and he went to some federal building in downtown Gulfport. So I was like, well, I guess the guy is a Fed.
Yeah, listen, it's not just preppers or militias. I have tried to go fix a veteran's house they were going to bulldoze, and they sent undercover feds in saying, let's blow up the federal courthouse and stuff. And I followed them outside, and it was like an unmarked police car. I mean, they don't want any of us having any community. They don't want Amish. They don't want backyard barbecues. They don't want people growing their own crops. They want you to take the shots, drink the fluoride, and shut up.
They're control freaks. They're all about micromanaging and controlling every aspect of our daily lives. And soon they realize, I mean, they have to realize, if not, they're stupider than I thought. They have to realize that eventually their micromanaging of our daily lives is going to reach a boiling point, and we're going to start pushing back. And we're not going to push back in the protesting way. We're going to push back the way we did in 1776, where we said, enough's enough, you stop or else.
Well, exactly, but that's another plan. They want to start a civil war, and that's their plan. But, you know, whatever happens, happens. My issue is most police and military I talk to are finally waking up because it's gotten so cartoonishly ridiculous. Is that what you're finding?
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. I mean, a lot of people in the military have turned into preppers. We had a lot of people in the Preparedness Project that are active duty military, retired military, National Guard. We even have law enforcement, and law enforcement has been told, don't belong to those preparedness groups. So they don't really come to any meetings.
They're scared to death. All it is like Civil Air Patrol or Civil Defense that my dad was part of. I was part of Civil Air Patrol. We used to, you know, when I was a kid, you know, sit there and shine our boots and everything and fly around and, you know, report weather stuff. And they're just afraid of the idea of the people being the government, like the sheriff's posse. They're so scared of we the people working with good government because they don't want that. They want centralized total federalization.
Well, that's the exact thing. I mean, the whole goal of the Mississippi Preparedness Project was to help individuals be prepared for any disaster, whether man-made or natural in origin. And we've basically taken ready.gov and put it on steroids, where we're taking people and saying, all right, you need a lot more than 3 days worth of food.
Well, look at the hurricane.
Well, and that's
they're scared of people getting back like old timers did to having a root cellar full of stuff and knowing how to skin a buck and run a trot line. They want domesticated humans, and this prepper movement is an anti-domestication.
They want us dependent on them, and preppers are not dependent on anyone. We're self-sufficient.
So what happened with this guy after you learned he was at the federal building?
We had kicked him out of the organization. We basically sent him an email saying, look, you know, we didn't tell him that that's why we removed him from the organization. He attended one of our events with a bag that may or may not have a concealed weapon in it. He did have a concealed carry permit, but his actions with the bag immediately set off my spider senses, saying something's not right, because he tried to hand the bag off not only to my wife, but to another person that was active duty who was Air Force EOD. And of course,
oh yeah, they want to create artificial terror grips, and they will plant bombs on people.
That was my initial concern. Either this is a run.
Well, they'll put one in your car and detonate it and say you did it.
Yeah. Well, there was actually I was sitting in the back, and through training that the government gave me, I was able to spot 3 people that were there that were watching everything that was going on, and. To the average person, they wouldn't be able to see that, but I was back there with a guy that was a military police, and we're sitting there watching him, pointing him out. And when they noticed that we started noticing them, they all left.
That's what's incredible is you try to keep a veteran's house from getting bulldozed, they want to put you in jail. I mean, they just don't want us doing anything. Pretty soon you'll get arrested if you try to tie your own shoelaces.
It's getting there, Alex. And I tell you right now, unless people start waking up and realizing, like, I want to put the call out to the military, y'all need to wake up and get vocal about this. Because if this could happen to me, my wife is in the military, I was a contractor, but even if I wasn't, this could happen to your wife or your kids, where they get put on the no-fly list, and then they're stranded in somewhere probably not as nice as Hawaii. And Are they going to be able to have the
Yeah, but next it's going to be not let you have a job, not let you have a gun. They've already said all this. I have been flying out of Austin, and they find 6 silver coins on a guy who was a computer software developer. Turned out he was like a rich guy. And he was going to a coin expo in Las Vegas, one of these guys, and it was just regular silver coins, you know, like a little kid with his coins.
Well, you can't have honest money.
And they got in his face, yelled at him, almost took it, but let him have it. But he said they told him, well, if you'd had a few more, we'd have taken them. And now they have all these TV shows coming out where the military infiltrates prepper groups. They have a new show coming out called Founding Fathers, where it demonizes the founders. It's based in Texas, says, you know, patriots are bad. I mean, it's just crazy. They're getting ready for this.
Well, what they're doing is they're using the propaganda known as the mainstream media to basically program people. Like we have that TV show Revolution, where the militia's bad. They're trying to program the psyche of the Americans that will listen to their propaganda and absorb it, just like the Germans did in World War II, to just blindly follow them no matter what.
There's no doubt the people running the government are super bad, and it's a lot higher than Obama. And I mean, I've got FEMA training videos. People can look it up. Just look up FEMA teaches Founding Fathers bad, and they sit there and trash the police. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson. And then now it's in the manuals. I mean, obviously, these are the bad guys. I mean, look, they say the founders of our country are bad. Yeah, because everybody knows if you read what they said. I saw articles last year or earlier this year saying the Declaration of Independence was terrorist.
Yeah, well, they have attorneys that debate that every year, whether it was terrorism or whether it was freedom. But that's where we're going in this country. You know, we celebrate the 4th of July every year, and people think it's about barbecuing and fireworks. They don't really understand what was going on in those people's minds when they signed that document. They didn't go sign the document and have some grand ceremony. They signed that document in secret because they knew if they got caught all there together, they were all going to get killed. And they said, you know, we're going to hang together or we're going to hang separate.
Well, that's right, and they went out and took action. Well, I mean, if you look at what happened there, the biggest thing that was over was when they came to take the guns. Just like the Texas Revolution started when they came to take the guns. You know, come and take it at Gonzales, Texas. The media spins what that was really about. But it finally happened at Lexington and Concord. But the buildup was, if you weren't an insider with the government and the crown, you couldn't own property, you couldn't get a job. Everything was controlled by monopolies. And people were sick of it, including George Washington. I mean, you had to buy your clothes from England. They had laws you couldn't manufacture them here. You had to buy your guns from England. You had to. You couldn't have finished goods. I mean, it was all meant to keep us down, and it's the same. That's what globalism is.
Exactly, and that's where we're headed. I mean, I played the George Bush 1991 New World Order speech for my in-laws, who are about as liberal as you can get. And they were like, well, what does that mean? And they're saying, well, it's all the neocons. I said, you got to realize this, that there's 2 sides to every coin. You flip the coin, it doesn't matter what side the coin lands on, it's going to be bad either way.
It's a coin.
It's a coin. It's 2 sides of the same evil coin.
Oh, man, I tell you. Let's take some phone calls. Well, I mean, where are you going now on this? I mean, you talked about Congress. We need to get the Congress people and reporters together and have lawsuits about this. But more than this, it's just... This convicts the system that they're doing this. This is the proof they're a bunch of out-of-control tyrants. And then the TSA is caught, some of them stealing $1 million a piece a year out of bags, raping people, beating them up, stripping down naked, and announcing they're God and I have power. I mean, these are just crazy people.
The reason TSA can get away with all of that is because they're not sworn law enforcement. They're just people they hire off the street and say, here's a uniform, here's a job. It's no different than a private security officer. A private security officer that works security of the bank can't put his hands on you unless you touch him first. And TSA is like the purple cow of the whole situation because they're not sworn law enforcement. They don't have to follow the Constitution. They don't have an oath that they swear.
But then they do 20 times what cops do. It's like they have no. It's all fraud.
Well, I'll tell you a little quick story. When my wife went to fly out, just to see if I was still on a no-fly list, I went and got tried to get a gate pass, which surprisingly I did get the gate pass. So I went with her to the gate. I intentionally left my wallet in my back pocket to see if the naked body scanner would detect it. It did. So the result of it detecting my wallet in my back pocket was they had to swab my hands down with that little pad to check for explosives. And when I opened my wallet up and they saw my concealed carry permit, the idiot TSA agent says, you don't have a gun on you right now, do you? And I just looked him right in the eyes and said, you know what, you're an idiot.
Because you just gone through a scanner.
I just went through a scanner, you found my wallet. I obviously don't have a firearm on me, you're an idiot. And he just kind of like looked at me and says, go ahead. He was just shocked. that I would speak.
Well, I got to say, they are, I don't even call them liberals, domesticated chicken necks. Most of the TSA we run into are like commies. I mean, and they're scared of guns, everything. They're just idiots.
They're really, I mean, just the permit scared him. He was worried about the permit. Oh, you don't have a gun on you now, do you? It's like, are you serious? It's to the point now that they're teaching that guns are bad because only criminals have guns. But if you look at every single situation that we've had, there's been armed robberies where there's been someone that had a gun and stopped the armed robbery. But they don't want the... They
don't publicize that. Sebastian in Oregon, you're on the air with the evil thought criminal, Wade Hicks. Go ahead.
Hey, how you doing, Mr. Alex Jones?
Good, my friend.
First time caller. Listened to you for 2 years now. Just very excellent information. I've been woken up since 9/11, kind of victimized from that. Originally from New York, Long Island, Nassau County. Kind of continuing to pray for my friends out there and family.
Absolutely.
It's devastating, and it's horrible because this is like the second biggest event that has taken place over there in New York, and
well, people never expect disasters to hit them, but the truth is, everybody gets hit by disasters a few times in their life, sometimes more, but go ahead.
No, for sure. No, continue, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. What's on your mind today?
Yeah, it's just I'm fed up. It's just a lot of things. I mean, my family, my brothers, I got family and my mother in Ohio, and just they're always getting, and Long Island, New York is very, I mean, the people are very vigilant out there, but, it's like now they have to be on their tippy toes, and it's just like this is a big one that's kind of like waking them up for the second time again now, and it's dangerous and it's scary when you actually have these lootings and people, just kind of...
well, what's amazing is the looting is admitted, and they've got more articles out saying we're bad to report on it. It's just really weird how the mainstream media loves to try to set the agenda like they're God, even though they implode more and more every day.
Yeah, it's immoral. It's immoral and wrong to actually, on Mr. Hicks' comment from Mr. Hicks, basically it's intrusive. It's invasive and intrusive and wrong. And
well, what it is tyranny. When they just say you're disappearing into a black hole, you're detained, you can't now fly for no reason. It's all just arbitrary tyranny. It's called capital T, death of freedom, death of America, in the name of protecting America when they run Al-Qaeda. Thank you so much for your call. We're going to come back and talk to Michael in Florida. And who else has been holding the longest? Darnell in Maryland and others straight ahead with our guest here in studio. Put on the no-fly list for daring to stand up for liberty. Left with Wade Hicks here in this hour. He'll be back on the Nightly News tonight to go over more of his story with David Knight, who's hosting the news tonight. Michelle, or is it Michael? We've got to move this phone data bank over here. I think that's a priority because it's getting too far away. Michael in Florida, you're on the air. Go ahead.
How you doing, Alex? How you doing, Mr. Hicks?
Good, sir.
Hey, Michael. Man, I think Mr. Hicks nailed it right on the head when he said, they're testing us. They're seeing what they can get away with. You look back at Katrina and all the rights they took away during Katrina. They went door to door, taking away guns, taking people away. Police chief got right on the news and said, we will go door to door. We will take away your guns. Nobody did nothing about it. Same thing's happening on the East Coast in this devastating storm, seeing what they're going to be able to get away with. I think, he got put on that no-fly list. It's pretty obvious, he had the wrong people coming to his little get-togethers. And you follow them.
Well, the deal is you just have little get-togethers to get communities to help each other, mutual aid, and they act like it's bad. I mean, they're arresting people with gardens now. Yeah. I mean, they do not want you being prepared. They want you going to Walmart.
Sure. He goes and has a nice meeting with his friends, nice, all respectable people, military people, people with good, upstanding jobs in the community. One of them, he follows him back to a federal building, and poof, he's on a no-fly list.
Well, the globalists, have to go to things undercover to act like you're bad. It's like the Amish. They begged him for a year, moved in next door to him for a year and a half. The feds had spent over $1 million, like $1.5 million. It was like last year. There's been a bunch of these cases, and they got convicted, the Amish, and begged them to sell them milk. They're like, I'll just give it to you. They're like, just let me pay you. All right. And now I'm taking this across state lines. Amish didn't know what that meant. And they filmed it undercover to show the jury like they were bad. It'd be like if I filmed undercover somebody grinding coffee in the back office and showed a jury, look, they ground the coffee. Here's the hidden camera. It's all show for mind-numb juries that think they're in a CSI episode. And the CSI episode, it's the Patriot guy that's a terrorist. So he should go to jail just because he's a Patriot.
Of course. Patriots are no good, you know. But you look at talking about hiding in plain sight. I live in Florida on the East Coast, right on the beach. And all last week, as Sandy was flying up the coast, chemtrails everywhere, broad daylight. I mean, hundreds of them, Alex, hundreds of them. I couldn't believe my eyes, but people don't know what they're looking at, so they don't even try to hide it. You look at, you know, talking about hiding in plain sight and breaking the laws. Look at, you know, Obama leading the UN Security Council.
Obama said he wants the UN to oversee our elections when they're even more criminal than our government. No, I mean, it's all about flaunting it in our face. Great points. That's a great caller. Well, here you are after listening to the show for, what, 5-6 years. Here you are, buddy. What do you think of the operation? You got a little bit of a tour?
Well, yeah, obviously it's a lot more impressive than I thought it would be. I thought you were a little bit more smaller operation, but evidently the InfoWars going full on now.
Well, you notice we're now moving the crew next door. We've now moved next door too, and we got a whole bunch of stuff we're going to launch. But the reason we're doing that is we're launch the new magazine that folks can now get the November issue and our best issue yet at InfoWarsShop.com and support us. The PrisonPlanet.tv memberships to see the nightly news. The films we're making, strategic relocation of the films now out. I mean, we're reaching a lot of people, so I'm putting everything now into growing the operation to the maximum level because there's no future if we don't beat these people. And what they're doing is so outrageous. If we just call their bluff, they're going to fail. But if we get all scared and roll over, it's over. Wade, I want to commend you for your courage and saying no to these people.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, more coming up, but don't forget, tonight, 7 o'clock, InfoWars Nightly News.
Thank you for listening to GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.